So we have myself, Andrex, Malice, Spooie, and
Hey,
for the first time in like 3 years, 2 years, three
that's
years,
here.
2 years, Sakito. Say hi, Sakito.
Hello, everyone. I think I know. Probably know. A while.
Cool. So apparently there was a PS4 launch or something recently. I don't know exactly
Yeah, I
when it
heard about that.
was.
I heard about that.
Yeah. So Spooey, you made the official PS3 slash or PS4 slash Xbox One thread. So why don't you do you know anything interesting that happened? What's
Well,
your feeling of people's feelings out there?
it seems that midnight, Thursday going into Friday, a new system came out called the PlayStation 4.
It came out on a Friday? Really?
Yes, it did. As I believe the Xbox One comes out this coming Friday as well.
Yeah.
Huh.
Um, I guess they're ditching the whole Sunday thing, and they want kids to skip school for the last day of the week. Kids with $400 and $500 to
Obviously,
spend on game
yes.
systems and wait in line for 8 hours beforehand. So,
Well,
but yeah, it came out and the reviews were great for about 3 hours until people try to actually get onto the system. And I guess there's a lot of I don't know what you call it now, the blue light of death or whatever, but I guess people are having issues actually getting onto the network, and their systems are bricking and things are working for a day and then they've stopped working after a day. And even IGN and Kotaku had kind of pre-release models that they were given that weren't working. And supposedly Kotaku's, though, according to the people at Sony, because I guess they were right down the block from where they had the event like earlier in the week. I guess they had somebody come over and pick it up and drop it off and look at it. And what they were told basically was that there was a little piece of metal that somehow got bent and detached inside the HDMI port that was preventing the wire from going on all the way. And I can't imagine that's what's happening to every single one that's out there. And at this point, nobody knows how many people it's being affected by this. But I watched after probably the 24-hour mark to the 36-hour mark. They went from having maybe 20 one-star ratings on Amazon to having an equal amount of one-star ratings per five-star ratings for the system.
oh really?
And how you could even rate a system in less than 36 hours, I have no idea. But
That
I'm guessing you could probably have people from one end who are gonna say all great stuff one way, and then people from the other end who are just gonna bash it whatever they can.
I think you have to go based on verified buyers. In that case, like you have to. That's how you have to gauge it.
Yeah, well, I went to GameFAQs and was reading it there.
Why would you do that?
Because I'm psychotic and sadistic, naturally. But a lot of people who actually seem to be PlayStation 4 owners who are actually complaining about it. When it started, a lot of people were, kind of, you didn't know if they were just trolling or not. But it seemed as the day went on, more and more legitimate people are actually complaining about it.
Yes,
So,
legitimate in open air quotes.
yeah. And I guess Sony's officially, quote, looking into it, unquote.
I think they said like it was like 0.4% or something like that that were defective or something. Which is
Originally,
still...
originally it said 0.04, and then it was upgraded to 0.4.
Oh, really?
Maybe it'll actually be 4 by the time the week's over.
And then 40% next week.
And then 400%. They'll actually have on the production line that automatically they know don't work.
That'd be 4 million at least. Wow.
But Sony's had a long history of systems not really working right.
I think the 360 still kind of takes the cake for that, to be honest.
It does. I mean, this 360.
I mean, everybody expected their
Yeah,
their 360 to fail eventually,
PlayStation 2 had a lot of disk read errors when it first came out. Over that first year or so, a lot of them showed up. But I think the 360, theirs took about 4 years before they really started to resolve those. I've heard from people who have owned 8 or 9 different Xbox 360s that they've gone through. I have a model. I got a Jasper model. I got it in 2009. I don't know anything about it other than the fact that it's a Jasper model. And so far, I've lucked out. I haven't had any kind of issues with it.
I heard was Jasper after Falcon? I remember,
I think so.
yeah, the Jasper was
I think
supposed
that
to,
might have been right afterwards, maybe.
yeah, the the Jasper was supposed to cut down on the failure rate significantly somehow.
But I don't play mine as much as I used to play it. Um,
Hmm.
of the current generation system, well, I can't even say current generation systems anymore. But of the former generation systems, well, technically I can because the 360 isn't out yet, so technically it is still the current Microsoft
You
system.
mean you
The
mean the
one.
one?
Whatever, I don't know. It's all,
Whatever.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
call the next system. I think Malice said it's gonna. He kind of joked it would be Xbox Prime for the original one, and I said don't give them ideas because they're gonna use that for the next system name.
So you know why they picked the name Xbox once because they want people to call it the One. They were really hoping that would be the thing to catch on instead of Xbone.
Well, but everything was supposed to be unified because you wouldn't actually own everything; it would just be through the system, you know. So maybe it's just a singular entity was what they were going for, you know. It's like it's the one device you need for everything. You can watch TV through your Xbox One, you know.
To be honest,
Sure, you have a TV to do that, but you can do it through the game system too.
I just think they ripped it off from the HTC One. I mean, that was kind of an interesting name for a smartphone, and it worked. But then when I heard it was going to be their next console name, I was just like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, PlayStation actually had the PlayStation One name for people. I don't know if anybody of you guys remember that or not.
Oh,
Was
the
it?
PS1, the little miniature original
Yeah, the white
PlayStation.
one that came out that was kind of like roundish, you know.
They actually said
Yeah.
it was actually ONE.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
actually PlayStation One, and they brought it out basically to differentiate itself from the regular PlayStation.
Well, that was the one that when they wrote it was like PS and then like capital O lowercase n. Yeah, I actually remember that.
And then every subsequent model that came out, they just called it the slim model. And I guess by default, everything became known as the fat model if it was the original one.
And then they came out with the PS3 Super Slim, which
Yeah, I like-
is that the official name for it? I never figured
I
that
think
out.
it actually is. That's a good question.
Hmm.
Uh,
It sounded
let me
like
see if I-
something that people just kind of made up because there was already a Slim
According to
PS3.
Amazon, first thing I look up when I go to Google and I
Mhm.
see, according to Amazon, they're calling it the PlayStation 3 Super Slim 500 gigabyte bundle. So, I guess if you can't trust Amazon, who can you trust, right?
Actually, it's on Wikipedia too. So if you can't trust Wikipedia, who can you trust?
I'd like to see an intentionally bulky version of the system come out, just so they could say, PlayStation bulk.
That was just the PS3 that thing
Yeah.
was.
And they had so many versions of the PlayStation 3, the original model that came out. I can't even. I've lost track of them. They had the 60 and the 20, and then the 40 and the 80, and then the 80 that didn't have the backwards compatibility. I think there was like a 160, and then they took off the piano finish and they removed USB ports to it,
And PS2 backwards compatibility.
and apparently Linux is no longer available for it. So.
Yeah, the version of Linux they supported was really lame anyways. There was like Puppy Dog Linux or something like that.
And then their network vanished for 5 weeks. That was kind of weird because that goes unannounced. But I guess people who have it, a lot of them don't seem overly impressed by it, but other people are kind of getting into it. I mean, it's hard to gauge. It's been out for just under 3 days. We're 8 minutes away from the 3-day mark right now. So it's kind of really hard to gauge how well a system is. I keep, I hear complaints saying, it's not all that different from the PlayStation 3. And
well, when they
what do
From
you
their launch.
expect? Yeah, it's a launch system.
and well, apparently a lot of people are buying it. Apparently it's sold a
sold?
million units in
Did it?
America
Now,
in 24
I want
hours.
to know, did it really sell a million units, or is
That's
this like
the rub.
some fuzzy math here? Because Microsoft and Nintendo, back in the old like Xbox and GameCube days, when they said something sold, they meant the actual number of sales per unit. When Sony said we've sold this, they mean how many have shipped off to a store, and the store has pre-bought, basically.
It all depends on if the stores are selling out or not. It seems like most of them are.
You probably are, I'm sure.
But I don't think Microsoft ever used sold numbers. I'm pretty sure they always used shipped, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't think Microsoft really ever addressed the number of direct sales for it.
I
So.
think Nintendo with this generation switched over to ship numbers as well, just because their sales aren't doing too hot either. So
I think in Japan you could probably still find about 1,000 unsold Xbox original systems, like just sitting on a shelf somewhere.
I'm sure you can find that in many
And
places.
Japan, well, in the U.S., they actually took the Xbox. The original Xbox left the market well before the GameCube and the PlayStation 2.
Well, that's because the 360 came out like in 2005.
Well, they decided not to renew the license with Nvidia, so they no longer could actually manufacture the system. I think it was somewhere between late 2004 and early 2005 was when they actually stopped manufacturing them. And I got mine, if I remember correctly, I got mine in April 2005, and within like 2-3 weeks, and I had no idea that you couldn't find them anywhere, but within like 2-3 weeks, it was impossible to actually find the system almost anywhere you looked for it. And I just got it basically. I mean, the real reason I got it was because I wanted to play a copy of Mega Man Anniversary Collection with good controls that didn't lag. Because I
But
bought the GameCube
on the 360 controller,
Oh,
though,
the GameCube is so terrible.
Oh yeah, the
Never.
GameCube is unplayable. You can't. I mean, if you've never played Mega Man before, or you're very good at retraining your brain to do something that simple logic would tell you not to do. You might be able to use the controls right, but I mean, it's two buttons. How could you mess up the jump and action button on the Nintendo system? That's all there was. There were start, select, and then the two action buttons. How do you mess up the two default buttons on the game? I don't understand that.
So,
Evidently, I retrained my brain just alright though, because I had no problems playing through it.
You are a very gifted person beyond your years. I played it for one day, and it was the only game I've ever actually returned to GameStop in my entire life. So.
You bought a bunch of games from GameStop, but that was
Yes,
the one
but I've
game.
never returned them. And sure, even though Gradius 3 and 4 doesn't actually work, I was willing to sacrifice the $2 I spent to buy it. Just knowing that I still have the disc for it. So.
I think I did that with a copy of 007 like a few years ago. It was $2, and I'm not gonna go back and spend my gas and return it. I'll buy that.
That's right. I forgot. Now you weren't there when I went on my crazy buying spree, were you? You completely missed out on that, right?
Spooie has a hoarding problem.
See, now people who don't actually own anything can't appreciate the value of actually having a physical object. So I
All
like having
digital.
actual. Now, see what Andrix doesn't realize is they're on CDs and DVDs, so they're already digital. It's just not.
I realized that, but you're missing.
Non-physical.
You're being pedantic, to be honest.
Needless to say, I have now in my possession close to about 380 PlayStation 2 games.
Wow.
They had, you weren't here for this, but they actually had like a big clearance sale at GameStop last year. It was buy two, get two free, and they also had a 5 for $1 sale, which later became a 10 for $1 sale.
So basically, we need to get rid of all the stock to start
Basically.
getting ready for the system.
They put out some kind of statement, I guess, from somebody who was the CEO there, saying how, the PlayStation 2, the one that's basically kept them in business all these years, when the GameCube went out and when the Xbox went out, and while people were transitioning to the new systems, it was like some kind of cancer, basically, and they had to get rid of it. And a few weeks later, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, they have this sale that goes on, and the sale was there for about, I think it was on for maybe 3 weeks or so, and the rumor was that they were either going to ship them back to a warehouse or they were going to bring them out back and destroy them and put an insurance claim saying that they were all damaged goods. Because if they couldn't make money selling them for 9 cents a piece, they really weren't going to do any much with it afterwards, so they might as well take what they can get with it. So, but who knows? I went in, I bought a bunch of stuff, and apparently I'm crazy for doing that. So.
So,
So anyway, the Xbox 4 or the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Sweet.
the Xbox 4. Let's just skip over talking about this generation and.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. The Xbox One. Do we really want to sit around and talk about that for a while? We'll see. I mean,
we'll see.
I mean, I don't want, I joke around, but
I think watching the people who are really invested in seeing which one sells better, watching them, argue amongst themselves is more entertaining to me than a lot of other things. So
I'm sure they're both going to sell well. I don't really doubt either one of them is going to not sell well.
But cast your mind forward a couple months, Spooey, when they've both been on the market for a while and Christmas is no longer booing the sales. It'll be interesting, I think.
From what I've talked to at GameStop, and this was 2 different GameStops I went to, the Xbox One is selling good, but they're getting not many consoles per store. Like the PS4 is getting a lot more consoles per store. So it wouldn't surprise me if Xbox sells out, but I don't think their sales will hit the PS4 level just because of stock and inventory.
Yep, I believe that. I don't know, like the PS4, isn't it established that it's like the more powerful system? Like how are they running into supply problems with, a less powerful system?
Because it must have been rushed.
Yeah, must be some kind of inefficiency there.
See, now I don't really know much about the actual power aspect for it.
Spooey, you're happy playing on an old NES system.
I'm happy playing on a Wii U. And someday I plan to. I've only played it in the store demo once, so. The controller, it looks cheap, but I guess it's really not cheap at all.
It's not inexpensive.
From a distance, it looks like it's, kind of. I mean, it looks like it's a Wii piece of plastic. Basically.
It is very plasticky, and the screen is not. It will not put any tablet to shame. Any proper tablet to shame. We'll say that.
The tablet costs $600. So.
Yes, that's true.
Well,
my Nexus 7 was only like $280, and it has 1080p screen on it.
When you basically break the controller, do you have to buy a brand new system?
No, you can buy a controller off of Nintendo's site.
But do you have to go to the website to do it?
Yeah, like their warranty and information site.
So it's basically going to be the same thing as like the component wires that they discontinued after a year for the GameCube because nobody knew you could buy them and nobody had
apparently the last year right before launch they're like, fine, you can have two gamepads going at the same time in the same game, but they haven't ever sold the gamepad separately and they haven't ever announced any games which support 2 gamepads at the same time, so I don't know what's going on with that.
Why don't they make something that lets you use your 3DS as a gamepad for it?
But which screen would it use? I mean, for the touchscreen stuff, you'd need to use
the
the bottom
larger one
screen.
is, I would assume, right? That's the.
But
is it the larger one? Which is the larger one that's on the XLs?
Huh?
Which is the larger screen on the XL system?
The top one. That's not
one.
that's not a touchscreen though. See, that's the problem.
I mean, on the PSP, you could do like cross-play stuff with the PlayStation 3, and then the Vita, you can do it with the PlayStation 4. Why can't you do something like with that with the 3DS?
Because the gamepad screen is a touchscreen and it's 16:9, whereas the 3DS has 2 screens, one of which is 16:9, and the other of which is a touchscreen. So you have to choose one or the other.
Why don't they just come out with a 1DS, which is a singular touchscreen item?
Apparently the 2DS, the 2 screens on that are the same screen. It's the same component. They just have like a plastic bar running.
Have you tried that yet?
No, I haven't.
I tried closing one, but all I ended up with was pieces of plastic and glass shattered into my palm. So.
You're reminding me of the Mega 64 video where they got a PSP Go and they tried
to put the disc inside.
Yeah, they tried putting the UMD inside of it.
Where does it go? I can't figure out.
I'm surprised they haven't done what you said with the 2DS. That would have been
Try
funny.
to actually close it, right?
Yeah.
But,
we should do that.
We'll see. I mean, does anybody have any plans to look for anything on Black Friday?
Nope,
or
I'm going to
by Black
watch.
Friday, I mean Thanksgiving week, because they start Fridays on Mondays now.
Yeah, what is up with that?
I don't know. I keep seeing, like, it says Black Friday week sales, like on Amazon, and I'm thinking, why don't you just call it Thanksgiving week? Because when you say something's Friday, that implies a specific day of the week.
Because they're not selling food.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, actually, Amazon does sell food.
It's overpriced, but yes, they do.
They do have a grocery store there. So.
Hmm.
It's going to shock people, but I'm planning to buy a game console Black Friday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's one I already own. So, anybody want to take a guess?
Hmm.
PS2.
No, I actually have 3 of those already. So
Virtual Boy.
I never had a Virtual Boy, but I almost did once.
That doesn't
really
count.
I really regret that today. Man, that $30 could have been worth a fortune now too. So. Not that I would ever sell it. I'm just saying. But now I'd never buy one. So. Can you do 3D on the Wii U?
No, I'm pretty sure no.
I mean, can they download something that make it 3D?
How would you use it with the glasses?
Like if you had like a 3D TV.
Probably. I mean, they patched it into the PS3.
Yeah. I mean, they should do that and just do like a simulated Virtual Boy game and just red, just to burn your retinas out.
I think they should add Virtual Boy to the 3DS Virtual Console first. Which, by the way, they should really unify the Virtual Console services. It really annoys me that they're.
I thought they were going to unify the eShop soon. You were going to have to make an account, but your points would be linked between your Wii U and your 3DS accounts.
Yes. So the eShop money will be shared across your 2 accounts since you're using the same Nintendo Network ID, but the libraries of both are still completely separate.
See, that's really, really unfortunate because.
And they will remain that way for a while.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Because
I'm
sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Okay.
As I said, if I could have access to all my like Wii console games on the 3DS, I would be a happy camper.
Yep. It would be nice, wouldn't it?
I had a point that I usually make, but I don't want to sound like a broken record or anything, so I'll
You
refrain
are
from that point.
Go ahead, Spooey.
I was just going to say, the thing about not having the physical media is that it's easy for them to just keep selling you the same product again on a brand new system because they know people will buy it on a brand new system.
But isn't that the case? I mean, you can't plug a Super Nintendo cartridge into a GameCube. I mean,
not yet.
Not
You
yet.
could plug it into a Super Nintendo.
So I can play my Wii Virtual Consoles on a Wii.
But I can put a Game Boy Advance game in my GameCube. I can put a Game Boy game from 1989 in my system that came out in 2001. So.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I just wish I had components. That would be really.
Composite component. Tomato, tomato.
But the thing is, I can just buy a system. I can put it in there. I don't have to just keep buying a system to buy a new version of it. But
I don't think people buy new systems for that reason.
They probably in all fairness, what is it right now to look forward to on the Wii U that you see? What was the last game you bought?
Wind Waker.
And that's a remake of a previous game that came out?
It's a very nice game.
So basically what you're saying is people don't buy systems and then go out and buy the games for the system.
I bought Wind Waker because there was really nothing else coming out. But
You just told me you didn't have that Sonic game, right?
I don't have that Sonic game.
Decent enough, right?
Yeah, but I haven't beaten Pokemon yet. I haven't beaten Wind Waker yet. I'm kind of holding back on buying new games until I beat those. And then this Friday or this Sunday, the new Mario 3D whatever comes out on Wii U, and the new Zelda Link to the Past sequel comes out on 3DS, so I'm really screwed.
Now, do you have the original Link to the Past?
Yes, I do.
And how do you have that? Do you have it on Game Boy Advance? Or do you
have it.
Shop one or something?
Well, I guess. I mean,
are you an ambassador?
It's my grandfather's cartridge, I suppose. he had a Super Nintendo.
But you've played it to completion?
Many, 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 many times. It's
Did
probably
be
tied
honest,
for my favorite
did you
game,
attack the chickens?
actually. Oh yeah.
Okay, I just want
You
to
have to.
And then you have to fly
It's
from
like a
place
red
to place with Ducky. Oh yeah. You ever been to the Chris Houlihan room, Spooey?
The where?
Ah.
The Chris Houlihan room, the little bonus room. I think it's only in the Super NES version.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have or not.
It's kind of roundabout, I think.
Yes, you have to like charge from like 3 screens and then cut a bush or something. Then you get a room full of blue rupees, I think. But
Yeah.
basically, it was a Nintendo Power winner, and he got the room named after him. So I'm surprised that you didn't hear about this.
I probably did, and I probably just let it, with
There's
the
too much other
rapid
trivia in your
age.
brain.
Yeah. I was never. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I kind of lost my way with the Zelda games after a while. I kind of gravitated more towards like the Metroid side and just regular Mario.
Really? Because I never really got into Metroid.
Metroid I loved until it became like a first-person shooter.
Heretic.
Actually, that's not even true. I really didn't care for Metroid 2 that much. But Super Metroid is like the best game ever made on the Super Nintendo.
Super Metroid is a pretty amazing game.
I will
say
in
that
game.
I like it more. I think I like it more than Metroid Prime, as good as Metroid Prime was.
Super Metroid is my second favorite game of all time.
I tried playing Super Metroid, but I got lost, so I stopped playing it.
Well, that's
You
the
have
point.
you have a map.
But I got
It's about
I got like
exploration.
trapped. Like I couldn't find a way out of the area I was in. It's very unfortunate.
Imagine playing that game in 1993 before the internet and before people had facts and like walkthroughs on YouTube.
Imagine playing the original Metroid without any of that stuff. Imagine playing the
I
original
did.
Zelda.
I did play the original Metroid without stuff. I beat it quite a few times.
How about people play
But
Super
original
Metroid
Metroid
2?
didn't even have a map, but it was a much smaller game too. So it's
Yeah.
kind of there weren't very many deviations on where you can actually go inside that game. Whereas Super Metroid, there's a lot of retroversal. You can take this path and then it'll ultimately get you to here, and you can go this path and get to here and loop around. In the original Metroid game, there's maybe 2 or 3 parts of the actual game that actually has a part where you can go from one point and then go somewhere else and get back to that point. There's a lot of dead ends, but there's a lot of hidden places you can go to, but there's a lot of dead ends in that game. Have you ever beaten the original one?
The original what? Metroid?
Yeah.
No, but I did beat Kid
You know what?
Icarus.
I
which
did
is kind of
find
its
a
twin.
code for you.
Yes, I know. It was in your signature for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, Indirect's G forum. Yeah, see, you have your own code. How could you
But
not play a
doesn't
game
that
has
immediately
your game-
start you off with like trapped or something? Like no
yeah,
way.
you can't actually get the morph ball. I don't remember. So, like,
Awesome
you kinda
code.
need that to progress. So.
You guys see the picture going around of like kids playing like Super Metroid and just like always like I don't know where to go from here. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. On the Miiverse.
yeah.
Why can't Metroid crawl? Which
I
is funny
refuse to
because
believe
there's
that
actually a
they've
morph
called
ball that'll let you do that.
Are you a Metroid fan, Sakito?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I haven't gone back and played like all of them, like a super fan, but I mean, when a new one comes out, if I have the system it's for, I'll probably get it. Like I played Metroid Prime 1 and 2, Zero Mission, Fusion.
I remember
I'm
liking
not-
Fusion.
Fusion was good. I like that one. So. Zero Mission I thought was a little underwhelming. They kind of held your hand pretty much for the whole game.
Wasn't that a remake of the original?
Yeah.
Yeah. I looked for it, but I couldn't find it.
Any of you guys play Other M?
I have a
Yes.
copy, but I haven't opened it yet.
It was cute, but
It was cute.
That's
like,
the one where
it was amusing, I think, but it wasn't. No, it wasn't Metroid.
was it as bad as everybody said it was?
It was. I would say it was disappointing. Kind of the same way I felt about Doom 3. Was that it was not a Doom game. It was just we're gonna take
Darkness
we're
with
gonna take we're gonna take resources from Doom and make a new first-person shooter, and it's not gonna be right.
Now,
Another M was just like this. I mean, it was fun. Like I enjoyed my playthrough of it, but I wouldn't put it up with many of the other Metroid games.
now nobody ever talks about Doom 2. Like they talked about the first Doom and Doom 3.
I think people tend to clump Doom and Doom 2 together.
They're the same
And you
engine,
have
right?
Ultimate Doom after
Yeah,
that.
they're very much the same engine. Doom 2 was like playing them both it's a different experience. Like I play a lot of custom maps from the still very thriving Doom community, and playing a Doom map or an Ultimate Doom map is a very different experience than playing a Doom 2 map, because obviously in Doom 2 you've got a whole list of new threats to worry about, but you've also got extra firepower to deal with them. So when I go back and play a Doom 1 map, all of a sudden I'm just like, whoa, my threat assessment is different because I don't have a super shotgun. All of a sudden, these three monsters are now significantly more difficult to kill. But yeah, they're strict. They're on purely the same engine. They're roughly the same size as far as map count. I think Doom 2 was a little more varied. I mean, you had outdoor areas, well, as outdoor as you could get. A lot more variation, I think, on height and map layouts. I mean, it's. I don't know if I would go so far as to say one was strictly better than the other. But I think they're both worth playing, and I think anybody that has access to them, which should be everybody in existence, should play through them if they're a first-person shooter fan, because that really is like there's not a lot of games I could just keep going back to and have fun with, like it even just in that genre, like it's just pure, just visceral, and I think the speed is really what sets it apart. It's just so much faster than almost anything else on the market.
Cool.
Didn't they come out with a port for the 360 of that?
Yeah, and they actually had a new extra episode for Doom 2, which you can access through some means with a PC version. That's actually not bad, and it was definitely made for modern gamers in mind. Like the difficulty was significantly ramped up, not unbeatable, but compared to the original games, it was definitely a harder game.
I guess Doom 2 is actually abandonware, so you can download it for free.
Oh, really?
No. No. That's not how that works. You still need to pay for Doom 2. It's cheap. You can get it on Steam on the cheap. You get the whole Doom collection, Doom.
Dude, it's
Doom
been
2.
out for like 3 years now. What do you mean you have to pay for it?
I think you can get Ultimate Doom, Doom 2, and all of Final Doom on Steam for probably less than $10 or $15.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
So was Ultimate Doom an expansion pack, or was that like an actual new?
Ultimate Doom is the original Doom, plus the later released fourth episode, Thy Flesh Consumed, which was a noticeable step up in difficulty. It came out sometime after the original did. I don't remember the exact timeline. Then you had Doom 2. Ultimate Doom is not Ultimate Doom. Final Doom is the Plutonia Experiment and Evolution TNT. They were actually fan compiled maps, and the TNT group actually caught a lot of flack because it actually scooped it up and made a deal with them like days before it was about to be like finalized and released. So instead of coming out for free like just most community maps do, all of a sudden they're selling it as like retail.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was some kind of like Doom-ish type of game with maybe it was Quake, where it was like Marvel characters or something like that came out back in the late 90s, and instead of most places where because I remember seeing like modded ones where they made like a Simpsons type of like Quake game, and people who were just making their own games, and I guess everybody kept sending them out all these like cease and desist things. I'm not mistaken, Marvel actually bought up like a bunch of the levels and like actually put it out there as an actual product for people to play. I don't think it was Doom though. I think it was actually Quake was actually what it was. But
I'm not as familiar with the Quake games and engine.
I mean, my brother played Dooms
There's a-
and Quake and Tribes and Duke Nukem back in like the original PC game days, but I was never like a PC gamer. I was always
There's a Quake 3 arena mod called Marvel Power Battles. I don't know anything about it. I just Googled it.
I want to say 97-ish maybe was when it came out.
There's X-Men: The Ravages of Apocalypse that may be on released as freeware in 2006. I think it's on the total conversion of the Quake engine.
So you guys like Doom 2 as well? That is.
Yes.
Malice is like the resident like Doom expert. So.
Right. Is there going to be a Doom 4? I mean, there were whispers like a while back, but nothing ever really came of them.
I can't say that I have an extensive amount of interest in Doom 4 unless it is a significant departure from Doom 3. Like, I didn't even finish the Doom 3 expansion. I was just
Is it the same character that's in all the games?
Well, character is probably an overstatement.
Does the guy have a name or anything like that?
He's colloquially referred to as Doom Guy. There actually is I found a Doom themed roguelike that's actually kind of fun. It's hard, but it's fun. I just stumbled across it and I was like, that's kind of cute.
Let me find out what Dwayne Johnson's name was in the film. Maybe that'll help.
I never saw the film.
I didn't either. I've seen segments of it.
It's bad.
Oh, that's his name? His name was Gunnery Sargent? That's it? Oh,
He's not even the main character, though, is he?
Asher Sarge Mohanan, looks like his name is. Okay,
Is he even the main character in the movie?
Carl Urban's in it, too, as
Okay,
John Reaper Grimm.
It gets dumb. Like, really, really dumb.
I saw a Blu-ray combo with Doom and the original Street Fighter movie, and I was like, I would totally buy this if I didn't already have the Street Fighter movie on Blu-ray, just to see what it was like, because it was like $6 or so.
You could probably do worse for $6 than Street Fighter and Doom.
I mean, Street Fighter itself is a cinematic classic. I don't know why people knocking all the time.
There were actually a small series of Doom novels that did have characters and a story. And I either rented, it's weird to say rented, I borrowed one from a library or owned one at one point. And I only read one.
Flynn Taggart, does that sound right?
Yes. And then there's Arlene something or other was the kind of partner he had. And I think they loosely follow, let's see. There's 4 books.
And then they meet Bill Rich.
Yeah, I think I only read the first one. I should probably hunt those up. I'm sure they're comedically readable.
One of these days I'm going to buy all those FX9 books for Worlds of Power, which I'm guessing none of you know what I'm talking about. Or maybe
No, you talk about the NES game.
The original Nintendo. There was
I had one for Blaster Master.
I did too. I had Blaster Master, Mega Man 2, and I think Ninja Gaiden was the other one I had. And where they are now, I have no idea. So. But that's actually where they got the characters' names, I think. For the kid, I mean, I can't remember. It was so long ago, but Blaster Master Blasting Again, which came out on the PlayStation, they actually referenced the book, the non-canon book, actually making it real canon in the series, because whoever designed the storyline for it there was nothing really to reference, so they used the actual book for character information. So I guess now the book is actually part of the actual canon for Blaster Master. So
It's funny when that happens.
so
Looking up information on Doom 4.
yeah.
Limited is a good word.
I mean, as soon as John Carmack needs more money to fund his spaceships, fund it.
What's John Romero up to these days?
Who?
Is
John Romero.
I get my
Hey,
Romeros confused sometimes.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I'm his bitch, right?
Oh, he's the Daikatana guy, right?
He's the guy. Yeah. He's
Yeah.
the guy who was gonna make everybody his bitch, right?
Something tells me that didn't happen.
Yeah.
His last game he worked on was Peddington Park from Zynga. And it looks like, though he was just working at Midway and stuff, the way I done as THQ.
Apparently, he did something on that awful Marvel Superhero Squad TV series game. I mean, I don't know if the game was awful, but the show is.
Never saw it.
Yeah, he went from Daikatana to Red Faction to Cartoon Network Block Party, and then Gauntlet Seven Sorrows, Area 51. I actually played Area 51. It was a pretty decent game.
Oh, yeah.
And then he vanished for like 5 years. So, and there's 3 versions of Area 51. There's the original light shooter game that came out in the arcades, and I think on PlayStation 1. And then there was the Xbox and PlayStation 2 and I think Windows version, and then there was the one for the Xbox 360 that came out.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay, it also came out for the PlayStation 3 too. Black Site, Area 51.
Right, actually, I remember that. That was yeah. I mean, it wasn't like the worst thing, but I would not spend money on it.
David Duchovny didn't come back for it though, did he? Because he did the voice of the main character in the Xbox PlayStation 2 version.
Hmm.
And Marilyn Manson was in it as some like floating, levitating ghost demon thing.
What the
Right,
hell
I'm
are you?
thinking
Yes,
it's
so
I-
What is the name of this game?
Area 51.
Area 51?
You know, the light gun game in the arcades. You've never seen it?
No. Whenever I go to an arcade, I play House of the Dead.
Andrex was like 3 when that game was out. So
The last credit I see for John Romero on his Wikipedia page is a Zynga game.
Yeah.
It has an Ubisoft Ghost Recon Commander in 2012 and Peddington Park in 2012 with Zynga games.
Ghost Recon Commander sounds like, to me, it's probably like a mobile game. But I can't click it to find out. So.
I feel like that's a fitting punishment for having made Daikatana.
Oh no, it's a Facebook game. It's a Facebook app. That's even worse.
Actually,
That's all
there's
Zynga
a bit-
is, basically.
yeah, there's a bit in his biography
But I mean, Ubisoft did it though. So.
that he had an interview with a magazine in 2010 where he finally publicly apologized for the Daikatana advertisements.
Hmm.
And when did Daikatana come out?
Hmm.
90 or 96 maybe?
Looking
And
at
keep-
No, it
What?
has to,
2000.
have to, yeah, I think it was announced in 96.
It was 2000. So it took him 10 years to apologize.
Wasn't that game like in development hell for years, right?
It ended up, yeah, it was. When in doubt, go to the Wikipedia page.
I wonder where that.
I didn't realize it was called John Romero's
Because
Daikatana.
it's according to Wikipedia, they originally completed the development on the game in 1997. So
I'm looking at that
they must have
advertisement.
just been reworking it, and they originally it was planned for Christmas '97. Or no way, they showed it off for the first time in June '97, and then I guess they had announced it, and then in Christmas '97 they kind of dropped it off the face of the earth, and then it was rescheduled for release in 1998 in March. And then something happened in November prior to that, which kind of pushed it to 99. And it was supposed to come out in February 99, and then it was supposed to come out. And then a demo for it was released in March of 99. And then it finally went out April 21st, 2000, and it sold 200,000 copies.
Spooie, you're not getting this all off the top of your head, are you?
No, I'm reading right off the
Now he's looking at the same Wikipedia page I am.
Okay. I like this
I'm
Wikipedia
just looking
page.
for letters. And then
Ravenwood Fair was a social network game on Facebook designed by John Romero and developed by LOL Apps. Ravenwood Fair launched on Facebook platform October 19th, 2010. The game closed down July 18th, 2013. Wah wah.
Yeah, it says
How do you
2010.
close a
game.
Facebook game down?
You shut the servers down, Spooey.
Just like Mag, right?
Mag. Oh.
Massive action game. I think it's closing down in January.
I thought it was already down.
It is already down?
I'm pretty sure. I think I'm not positive. But I'm pretty sure I remember.
I thought it was that and one other game, and I know this only specifically. It's actually no way. It says Mag, SOCOM 4, and SOCOM Confrontation will be closed January 28th, 2014.
Okay, so it's not shut down.
One of my friends is like a big Mag guy, and he convinced me to basically play Mag, and I did for about a week and a half, and then my team booted me for some reason. Apparently, the structure of the game is that if enough people on your team, for whatever reason, want to boot you, they basically boot you from the game.
Sounds fun.
And that happened to me once, and I said, you know what, screw that, and I never played it again.
I wish there was a way we could do that on G Forum. Just boot you from the boards somehow.
Sometimes I think if I mention YouTube in a thread, there's this little itch that you want to like just hit the trigger there. But I know you're too good for that. So.
I don't know about that.
Speaking of the Project G forums, I believe you just made somebody a new moderator. Am I not correct there?
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago. Astrofrost is new green named Big Shot on the boards. I don't know if you know him, Sakito, but it's a pretty cool dude.
Honestly, name doesn't ring a bell. So
He used to be XPlay 25, wasn't he?
Yeah, on G4.
Yeah.
okay, I recognize that name.
Yeah. Kind of a weird name transition. But
God,
I
what
like
was
it.
Crud's name? There's a guy named Crud. I can't remember.
He was
what his
Gamer98.
Oh, I saw that. I saw his avatar, and I was gonna ask.
Yep, same person.
Just came out one day and said, "You got to change my name to Crud." And it was
Yeah,
like,
I'll find the
okay.
thread for you.
I've been known as Spooie since probably the third week I went online in late 1999. So I've never had a name change. I've never wanted to. I don't think there's any reason to.
And I've changed my online name.
Fuck.
Oh,
Something just happened.
That was my coaster. I'm sorry.
that's a very loud coaster.
Yes.
Are
Anyway,
you using the
continue,
PlayStation
Steven.
3 as a coaster?
What's that?
No. So, I think I asked a little while ago. Did anybody? I mean, I can't remember if I actually got an answer. Is anybody planning to like buy anything for Black Friday for game wise or anything?
Nope. I'm going to
'Cause I
stay
mentioned-
home and watch.
I think I mentioned the system, but I don't know if I actually said what it was. Right?
No, you
Did
didn't.
not.
There's a Steven Seagal
Wait.
marathon that Friday, so no.
Is there?
Yeah.
But
AMC.
there's only two good Steven Seagal movies:
Which ones are those?
Under Siege and Under Siege 2.
I thought Under Siege 2 wasn't that good.
It was all right.
What about Above the Law?
You'll love it. They talk. Maybe a guilty pleasure for Above the Law. That
Aren't
one,
all
what's
his
the-
movies guilty pleasures?
What's the other one I'm thinking of? Not Above the Law, but what's the other one? Like Out for Justice, I think was one.
Yeah.
And they used to play those like on Cinemax like for like 3 years straight every other day. They just play it, and I never remember which one was which.
Mm-hmm.
There'd just be like some like
They all
some
blend
Italian
together.
guy named Tony that or something like that that wanted to shoot somebody. Nico, that's the name I'm thinking. I'm sorry.
Did you do one with DMX? What one was that?
That wasn't Half Past Dead, was it?
I just remember renting that and being a kid. Like, this is
I've
great.
seen far too many
Violent.
Steven Seagal movies than I.
Looks like it's Exit Wounds.
Okay, which one was Half Past Dead? Was that the? Ja Rule, that was the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, was it Ja Rule?
And Morris Chestnut. There you go. So. Is that not the one with Dan Aykroyd? Am I thinking of? What was not Dan Aykroyd? What am I thinking of?
I think we're getting way off topic.
God, who am I thinking of? My brain stopped. Claudia Christian's in that movie too. Oh, that's the one in the prison, right? Half Past Dead.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
okay, I remember that.
Anyway,
Never mind.
Spooey, which
Yeah.
system or
So
whatever
anyway, what
are
I'm
you
planning
getting?
to get- I'm planning to actually. I'm hoping to get another PlayStation 3.
Awesome.
which I will use as a 3D Blu-ray player and backup machine in the living room for my 3D TV.
Hmm.
So it'll give me a nice newer hard drive though, so I don't have to worry about swapping out the old one right now and losing everything.
Hmm.
Pretty crazy actually, because they removed 3D from PS4. I feel like no one uses this.
Yeah, they said that there was different architecture. It was the reason why you couldn't use backwards compatibility on the PlayStation 4. But at the same exact time, they announced that they have a service coming out in a few months where you can, in fact, play all of your old games for a price, I'm sure,
Oh,
on the PlayStation 4. Which somehow you can't play the actual game on it, but they've created a magical emulation thing where you can play them streaming. But even though you would theoretically assume it uses the same exact information, you can't do that because that would, that's too difficult with the architecture.
Hmm.
I get why they did that, but I'm okay with it because the PS3 architecture, from what everything I've heard, is was just it's a fucking mess.
Hmm. The
And then going
RSX, the Cell.
I mean, there's no reason they had to take out the software emulation version in PlayStation 3, but they did just because they knew that they could resell it to you again as a download. So.
Yeah.
Hmm.
My first PS3 broke, and now I have one that's not backwards compatible. And now I've got all these.
Which
PS3
one did you have
games
originally?
sitting
Was
in
it
my
the
house.
60 gigabyte?
Yep, I had this.
You had a launch model?
Yep.
So what
Hmm.
happened to it?
Uh, let's see. I was going away. Person thought it was my friend. Let him borrow it. He left the thing on for like 24 hours a day in his room, which got to like 90 degrees.
Not a smart move.
Got the
And now it's
yellow light
just-
of death, I think. Yeah. And then I got it fixed, and they didn't fix it right, so they said, "Hey, we can't get this part, and we don't want to, fix it again if it'll just break. We can either give you the broken one back, or you could trade it to us, and we'll scrap it for parts, and we'll give you a slim with like a 120 gig hard drive." And I said, "Just give me a slim."
For free?
Yeah, for free.
Oh, wow.
But how can you play all those great games with your PlayStation 2 now?
I have a PS2, so I have a memory card.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There's like 150 million PS2s out there, Spooey.
Did it actually? I never quite figured this out with my brother because my brother's got a 60 gig as well, which he also had to send to Sony to get fixed at one point. But did it actually upscale them?
Yeah, there was an option for upscale.
Because I know if you put a PlayStation 1 game inside there, it actually comes out very. I mean, it's blocky. It's all hell like the PlayStation 1 games were, but it's not blurry. I mean, it literally comes out a nice crisp 1080 image when you put it through there.
It really did come out looking nice. And the weird thing was it read. I had this it was a crappy PS1 game called Evil Zone, and
Is that the fighting one?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't played that. Shockingly enough, I actually never played
Evil Zone?
Anyways, my disc version of it was just like destroyed. Like it was. Let's just say someone at one point took an eraser to it and tried to erase the scratches. Was not me. It was my mom. But anyways, this thing would not play on my PS1, my PS2. My PS3 ran it just fine. It was the weirdest thing.
You know, if only I could put that Gradius game in my PlayStation 3, because it's a PlayStation 2 game. I bet it would probably work in the PlayStation 3. PlayStation 3 is really good with. I mean, I've put some scratched games inside there. I bought, and I'm not. I mean, until the PlayStation 2, I really wasn't a big guy on used games. I could probably count all the used games I ever bought on my hand, basically on a single hand.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, for disc games, I mean, cartridges I don't really care because they're cartridges. It's the exterior's not going to matter what condition they're in. But when you get something that's scratched up, you can't really unscratch it. You can only remove layers of the disc.
Couldn't you get some of that stuff for cars where you like put it on and it makes the scratch go away?
Scratch be gone. Right?
Yes.
So I don't know if that works for the other thing there. So, but you have those rebuffer machines. So I got a lot of rebuffed PlayStation 2 games, I gotta say now. So. At one point, I think my store they didn't even care anymore. They were just taking whatever in for like 3 cents. and putting them in an envelope and shoving them back out there. So, but anyway, the bundle I want to get, just because I don't want to lose the track for it here. It's got it's supposed to have The Last of Us, Batman Arkham Origins, and it's a 250 gigabyte model. And it's coming out for $199. So, I know Andrex said at one point he was thinking of getting a PlayStation 3. This might be your opportunity to get a PlayStation 3.
It is a pretty good deal.
I mean, both games right now are around $60. It is a 3D Blu-ray player, and you're getting one with, I think, the third largest hard drive size that they offer. I think only the 500 gigabyte and the 320 are actually larger than it is. So, what do you say, Andrex, considering it?
I'm considering all my options, to be honest. But like I said, I have a bunch of unbeaten games for systems that don't even get that many games. So it's kind of like, why would I get a system that has a lot of games, you know? Does that logic make any sense to anybody but me?
No, I get it.
That's the fuzzy math I was talking about earlier.
See, you're kind of the opposite, Spooey. You're like, unbeaten games.
I just need games.
Yes.
I would hear no talk of fuzzy math.
Fuzzy logic, right? Is that whatever it is?
What about sequin logic?
Now you're just confusing things with half-truths and gorilla dust. Something on my chair broke off, and I can't figure out where it broke off from.
Awesome. We are officially at the end of this podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you, Sakito, for being patient with me during the resend password glitches and whatnot.
No problem.
Happy to have you. Yeah, happy to have you back on the boards. Malice and Spooey, thank you for showing up. Thank you, Spooey, for kind of forcing me to do this podcast. I promise I won't
But
lose
you
it.
loved every minute of it, didn't you?
Some minutes more than others.
That's called passing the buck.
We're actually at the official 1 hour mark, I think, right?
Yes, we are. 1 hour,
yeah.
17 seconds. Alrighty.
I just want to say one quick thing. Skylanders bundle, also going to be available, I think, at Toys R Us. So if you're into Wii U and you want to get one with Skylanders that has 8 gigabytes.
Yeah, that's the lesser 8 gigabyte model. No one's going to buy that, Spooey.
And Walmart also has a doorbuster. I can't tell what day it actually is because none of these flyers make any sense anymore. But it's a $99 Xbox 360. But it's the crappy 4 gigabyte hard drive. So the price of having to buy an actual hard drive and getting that transfer kit or whatever is probably going to wipe out any saving you'd actually get on it. But if you do have one that's like breaking down and you need a cheap replacement, you have that option. So.
Right. I think the Wind Waker bundle is still the best one out there.
So I saw one of those at Sam's Club last week.
Or the Mario Luigi one. That one's pretty good too. You get 2 games with that one. And it's 32 gigabytes.
Oh, there's the important thing, the reason we have this show, and you didn't even mention it, Rex. I expected it from you. And you didn't do it.
What's that?
Let me down this time, man.
Have I ever not let you down, Spooey?
There was that one time you came through for me. You said, let's do a podcast, just the 2 of us, because no one else is here. I said, let's go for it. Remember that time?
Yep.
Yeah, see? What about the Wii Mini?
What about it?
It's coming.
It's not worth talking about.
The fact that you don't even acknowledge it tells me that it's working about.
It's such a nothing system.
Okay, that was a good podcast. So.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, everybody.